Live.
Hey, how you doing?
You doing good, soldier? How you feeling?
All right. Yeah, I was just calling in and I was talking to my wife about what was the tonight's discussion, and I was I'm one of those that believe in the death penalty for molesters, but also what I when you ask the question, what is the age? That is kind of a touchy situation. You can look at an age and say that I can give an experience that happened in my life. I think I was around about 9 years old, and a 6-year-old girl came into a room. We was in the den by herself, and she wanted to play a game. So she said, you put your hand on me and you touch me. At 9 years old, I froze up. I touched her. And I was just froze. I froze, and basically, if an adult would have walked in, who they would have blamed that on, the older kid. So, it's kind of hard to say that, that older kid is responsible for, being considered them as a pedophile. So I just thought I would share that, that experience that I experienced in my life.
And let me say something, brother, because clearly, when you explain it like that, it's clear you were not a pedophile, and that's not what we're talking about. But you make an excellent point, because when you're dealing with children, sometimes getting to the truth. And now that you mentioned that, brother, it's the weirdest thing in the world. I remember very similar circumstances when I was young. When I was at the babysitter, this stuff is drawn back to me now. I wasn't necessarily involved, but I was watching these young people do this stuff, and they were similar ages. And I think when you have children of similar ages that are both willing participants, it's something that you want to prevent from happening.
Right.
But to your point, we do have to have some kind of gauge for this, because in that situation, you're right. That 9-year-old is a 9-year-old. She came to you with this, and you did what a little boy did. You was either scared or you didn't want to say no. You didn't want to say you did whatever happened. Children experiment. So we understand that's not what we're talking about, but we don't have no written kind of explanation of law that differentiates that, so that we can be clear about what we're talking about. And I think that you just brought brother, I'm glad you called at the end of the show, because you just added a whole nother twist to it. We have to have a real true definition of what we mean when we say sexually molesting. When I'm thinking a sexual molester, I'm thinking this girl is 2 years old, this is a 5-year-old, he physically forces her to do stuff because he can.
Right.
But now, if you have a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old or 2-year-old or even a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and they playing around and they doing stuff they watched on TV, that's not the same. Even though there's an age difference,
I was going to say, but how do you know that's not the same? You understand what I'm saying? Is because you have children that one of the dogs is going to come in and catch that, if that's not their child, and like, hey, your kid was touching my child inappropriately.
And you know what? Something we've left out this discussion, and it goes exactly to what you're saying. We've only asked the absolute question, and we won't do it tonight, but what you're hitting on is investigation. That's the bottom line.
Yes.
We have to have a clear description of what we mean when we say child sexual abuse. And then the second piece, we have to have investigation, because it has been proven that children who are scared can make up lies, and they can lie on people. They can accuse an adult of doing something that the adult has not done. They can accuse another child of doing something. We've only been talking about it strictly from a if this person is truly guilty perspective. Two things we have to do. We have to start really talking about this behavior and delineating what we mean when we say sexual abuse and what's sexual play. What are the age limits? We got to really identify this. And then the second thing, we have to make it very clear. No one can go off the impulse of just hearing that something happened. Every single situation has to be investigated, because the worst thing in the world you can do is when people start getting serious about this situation and we lash out and find out we've targeted the wrong person. And years ago, brother, I'm so glad you brought this up. I'm gonna let you speak, but I gotta bring this out because you really bringing some real deep stuff out. When it's probably the third or fourth time we did Predators in Our Midst, a brother came up, and after the lecture, he said to me, "Brother, there's got to be some rules regarding this." And I was like, I wasn't trying to be arrogant at the time, but I was so one-minded. You know, I was kind of like, yeah, man, you know, we just got to get this to make it stop. And we don't need to be having all these rules. And he said, nah, listen, brother. He said he said back in the day when he was in the movement, so he was an older brother. So he probably talking about in the 70s. He said this sister told us that this brother had raped her. He said, man, we did this dude in, man. And I could see when I only thing I can do is describe to you his posture. He was morbidly remorseful. And he said, man, she came back and told us she had lied on him because he wouldn't take her out.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but you know, we don't. And he was like, nah, brother, listen to what I'm saying to you, brother. There's got to be some rules to this thing. Because what we did to this dude was he said, man, I still feel guilt behind it. And he was really remorseful. And you making that point become very important again. Yeah, we do gotta have some real definitive education in our community about this and some rules associated with it so that we don't just jump the gun with this thing.
Definitely. I can also give you another story just recently. You know, I'm a college professor here in Oklahoma, and I remember a sister came to class, and everybody was laughing at her because she took her braids out. She's wearing the afro, and you know, towards the end of the day, I said, "Hey, you look really pretty with your you look pretty with your hair." So she's like, "You know, that's sexual harassment. That's sexual harassment." You know, I had to stop her right there and like, hey, listen, I don't play that. You know, I was just giving you a compliment. I said, I am not trying to talk to you. You know, you can keep that moving. You know, as a matter of fact, when you see me, you go that way, and when I see you, I go this way. You know, and that's the thing. You know, we have a lot of people that want to lash out. You know, this sister, she's dating a white boy, so you see what her mindset is, and so she wanted to lash out at me, probably the only black person around, you know, that's basically defending her, but I was in the wrong for defending her. You know, I should have been laughing at her like with the rest of the white people. You know what I'm saying? So she wanted to lash out on me because I'm the only black person around. You know, go ahead.
And of course, just for people that are listening, this is very relevant what the brother's saying because the reality of it is, even though our position is not going to change or what needs to happen to people who are guilty of sexual abuse, we have to consider all the issues. I had a brother who went to a classroom, and this brother was, a phenomenal speaker and a phenomenal leader. And this brother, I never forget, man, he came back from a junior high school 7th grade classroom. And he said, brother, this is the first time in my life I didn't know what to say. And I was like, why you say that? He said, man, the little boys were a little out of control. He said, but I can handle that. He said, but the little girls, man, he said, he was in a 7th grade classroom. And he had little girls trying to hit on him. I mean, making very sexual, direct comments to him. And I'm not even gonna sit here and lie, man. That would freak me out. I can't even imagine. That makes me violent thinking about it. Having some little girl talking to me like I'm like that ain't cool. And this is a strong brother. It wasn't a matter of physical prowess. It's he never been around such a sick-minded young black female that would not have the respect for a man that she would, in front of everybody, make sexual comments to him, what I'll do to you and this kind of stuff in front of a room full of people. And which goes to the condition of our young girls' minds, which means in the process of cleaning this filth up, we also really do have to re-educate our youth because they are no longer innocent.
Right. This is true.
Bro, you brought some real balance to the
totally
conversation.
Agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is balanced because we haven't changed. Now, I want people to be clear. Nothing has changed in this dialogue in terms of what's going to happen to the pedophiles. However, we do have to have a balanced conversation and understand that not everybody that gets accused of a crime is guilty. And before we lash out and do what needs to be done, we really do need to know as best we can the circumstances surrounding it, and particularly that it's true, because with our girls looking for, with our girls, they looking for so much attention. If they find that men will rally about this thing, the reality of it is you're going to have, most children don't lie about sexual abuse. Let me be clear, they don't. But if our young girls who get no attention from their fathers and are attention starved find out that men are responding to sexual abuse claims, when they get a father who's a strong disciplinarian or a stepfather, when they get a teacher at school that they don't like who won't let them have their way, the immaturity level in our daughters is very likely to get them to say things that we would definitely want to investigate before we jump out there. So we should all consider that part of the conversation. We want to make sure that the people we target for retribution are really guilty.